It's our special time, whatever that means. Hey, girl, it's me. It's your girl, Wanda. It's your girl. I haven't said that in a very long time. It felt good to say that. Hi, so good to be here with you. It's Therapy Thursday. So I'm Wanda. Black Women Travel. Peep the bottom of the screen. We have a podcast. We have a community. Black women, digital nomad entrepreneurs. The podcast is the Black Women Travel Podcast. We have a conference, the International Black Women Travel Jubilee. It just happened in December. You can catch the replay and you could be added to our special, not on Facebook community, where you could connect with other attendee members. Any hoochie coochie. Today is Therapy Thursday. And I'm really excited because I was literally just like reflecting on how we've been through it collectively, but particularly as Black women, because that's all I talk about. And it would be amazing for us to have actual licensed people who are also a part of our community talk to us about how we can keep ourselves well as it relates to travel and entrepreneurship, because like those are just two, well, actually three, wellness, travel, entrepreneurship. Those are things that intersect in very interesting ways, specifically for us as Black women. So I have someone very special to introduce you to today. Y'all be nice now. Well, y'all are always nice because y'all know I don't do that. So let's bring up Miss Jen. And
Hello.
Jen is in South Africa today. That's where she's
Yeah.
calling in, for she's videoing in from. Jen, tell us about yourself. Tell us about what you got going on in South Africa.
Hello, everybody. So my name is Jen. I am a certified behavioral mental health and behavioral health like a coach, and I'm pretty much I'm one of the more holistic behavioral health and mental health coaches. I'll do give a disclaimer. That means I am not a licensed therapist. I am a certified, again, behavioral health and mental health coach. I am certified. Um, I pretty much am available anywhere in the world. I am back and forth. I've traveled just like everybody else is, so like a digital nomad in the states, out the states, things of that nature. But what I do is I am a mental health advocate, and what I how should I say? I specialize in anxiety, depression, grief. Those who have trouble with the lost one, or just grief over maybe a lost job or lost situations. In addition to those who may be caregivers, have struggling with being a caregiver or the balance, those who have um, workplace trauma. That's a big issue with Black women these past 5 to 10 years, or maybe just forever. Um,
Okay.
trauma in the workplace, um, along with just balancing life, um, having that work-life balance. I also deal with those who have troubles dealing with transitioning, life after the workplace or life after being an empty nester. Um, People think it's all gung ho and roses and live your life, and a lot of times it's not like that. Um, there's a lot of there can be a lot of emptiness and loneliness and loss of routine, in that, and grieving over that routine and grieving over those people that you had in your life every day. Because let's face it, when you're at work, when you're doing certain things, when you're at certain places, those people become part of your life for those 8 hours or however long day that you're working, or when you're with that your children and things of that nature. They're part of your routine, and then that routine is lost, and that's when I come to help you balance that out. um in addition to that, I also help people who have anxiety and depression due to a medical condition or chronic illness, such as cancer or any other type of issue, maybe temporary surgeries, um, stroke and things of that nature. Because sometimes we not able to do the things that we used to do, and we're struggling to get through those things. And in addition to that, I do specialize in helping expats or those that travel a lot, digital nomads, cope through the things that they go through as far as, different cultures, especially during the lockdown. There's a lot of things that people are going through. Um, Although you're traveling, that still doesn't mean that life doesn't stop. And the things that you're dealing with don't stop. They pretty much maybe stop temporarily, but a lot of times they're still with you. So, being that I do travel and have been different countries and been in South Africa and some other places, I can assist with those people or those that travel a lot or digital nomads or are living in another country, and can assist them with those things such as maybe adaptation and sense loneliness and those things. Um, and how I do it is like we have sessions once a week via video, depending where I am, that can be in person, because I also do healing through the arts, which means we do a lot of art therapy or therapeutic, not necessarily art therapy. I could be like, oh, you're a licensed art therapist. No, I'm not. Okay, is I'm not gonna fight with y'all today on the technicalities. So I do a lot of healing through the arts, or therapeutic healing through the arts, and I also do sound healing with sound bowls, um, and chakra clearings. And so with that, because a lot of times people do not want to do your traditional therapies, your textbook, and a lot of people are trying to get away with that. And the reason being is because um, and don't be wrong, I love my therapist, I love the mental health field, but a lot of times, textbook things and things, not every key works for every door, right? Every door, every house is different. That's why you got everything's, zigzag and this way it don't fit for everybody. So not every remedy and solution is going to be for everybody. So, why are people texting me? Get off my screen. Get off my screen.
It's distracting, right?
Um, Right. So we have different, and that's why it's good, because of the people sometimes also want to know the difference between a therapist and a coach, and I'll tell you the difference.
Hmm.
And like I said, every therapist is different. You got to check your therapist out for yourself, see what they do. The one main thing is that therapists can diagnose and treat, but a lot of times their main thing is to figure out your who, what, where, and your why, the things that you do, right? And they're pretty much going to go back and see your past. With a coach, depending on what type of coach you have or what actual field, such as mine, um, I may dibble and dabble into your past, maybe the first two sessions, but after that, it's pretty much a wrap for me. We're all about meeting you where you are and pretty much helping you move forward, establishing some goals, and figuring out what are your roadblocks and what are your roadblocks, your potential roadblocks, in addition to what used to work or what wasn't working before, and how can we change that, or will it work now. So those are the major differences in therapy and coaching, but there is a lot of similarities, and there's also, like, a fine line, and pretty much it depends on your coach to figure out that fine line. There's a lot of things that I don't deal with that I do, I guess you could say, make referrals. And during our first session, we'll know, like, do you need me or you need somebody else? And I can do that for you. But I am one of the more holistic coaches. In the travel world, I'm probably known for the person that wrote the book. I wrote the book Keep Calm, Bring It, Carry On. And so the book Keep Calm, Bring It, Carry On is pretty much an analogy, I guess you could say, for um, keeping those tools. Because when you travel, our major stuff is in our carry-on, right? Our most important things, that our luggage can get lost, that's fine, but long as we got our carry-on, we good to go. We're good to go, at least for the next couple of days. So
Some of us only travel with carry on, by the way.
see, I'm not there yet. That's not I'm not there yet, and that's not my ministry. I was not,
Okay. Okay.
I am the overpacker. I am the overpacker. Um, and I'm trying to keep it deck. I try to keep the weight down. That's where I'm at right now. The universe is and God is still working with me on that. the travel
Okay.
guy, the travel guy is still working with me on that. So, but the key point is your major stuff that you know you need to get through the next couple of days, or even if you got stranded, is in that carry on. And that's the same things that you need for life when it comes to your mental health. So it's like keep calm, bring your carry on. And what it is it's in the book I interview a lot of the major travel influencers and those who are upcoming travel influencers and the leaders of those groups. And they pretty much give you a depiction on their mental health, what they do for their mental health, and what's in their carry-on bag as it relates to mental health, and how travel has actually assisted with their anxiety, depression, or some things that they're going on through life. And it's a great hold on, the light has changed on me very quickly. Um, and it helps you because each chapter is a different if different influencer. There's a lot of travel jokes in it. Everybody knows I'm a travel jokester. um Despise the mental health, being a mental health advocate, I'm definitely down with my travel jokes. um try to keep it light because this, in the field that I work in, it can be pretty heavy. um but it pretty much gives light on how us as a Black community. Well, my major thing that I want to do was I used to do a lot of mental health events in California, and at one point I was like, okay, that's not enough. I need to bring this worldwide. And so by getting other travel influencers, people located different places, it kind of got that awareness out because um mental health awareness and therapy or mental health coaching, whatever you want to call it, is still a stigma in the Black communities, and that's everywhere, and that's probably in every country.
Mm,
Especially with us millennial folks, wherever you are, mental health is a stigma.
mhm.
It's not. It's one of those things where people just want to, or families just want to keep it at the kitchen table. That's about it. They want to keep it in the house and nothing else. So,
So,
go
speaking
ahead.
of that, I just wanted to touch back on you talked about the things that you specifically deal with when it comes to the type
Hmm.
of coaching that you provide, and you talked about transition. So, what you just said, it feels like a lot of us haven't had time to process our entire lives, right? And so when you're talking about transition and you get to that place and it's much quieter often and the bills ain't so loud, right? Sometimes.
Hmm.
And so you have all this space in order to process. And that transition can be quite wild for so many of us to have all of these feelings, all of these thoughts about the lives that we led up until that point come kind of
Hmm.
crashing through, or just like bubbling to the surface every day. So I love that you talk about transition specifically. It's great that you want to make this move and everything, but I don't know that there's enough conversation around what that looks like once you land, how you feel in your body once you land, and how some places can exacerbate that. If you don't have a community locally, like you can feel even lonelier with all of your
Hmm.
feelings and
Hmm.
stuff like that.
Even if you're not living in a place, a different country, or whatever, even if you're just traveling for some months or even a week, um, different countries and different environments. Even with solo travel, group travel, you can be in a group travel event and still feel like you're by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Different, and that's why I said we talk in the book. We talk about the things that you travel with. My important things that I travel with. Everybody's different. It could be your Bible, it could be your crystals, whatever you choose.
It could be
um,
both.
and it could be both. It could be whatever you want, but whatever you feel like that you need to get by within the weeks within your travel, that's the things that you need to keep close to you. Um, and mine was several things. And I feel like that's very important. And so a lot of times people don't realize also that certain places can be very triggering.
Mm.
Um, Either they can trigger some good stuff or they can trigger some bad stuff, and you need to be prepared for
Mhm.
that. Um, and I think that's very good to also, before you go anywhere, know your triggers. Know that
Mm.
you need your own room. Know that you need to be with somebody.
Mm.
Know that you need is you need to just realize you need to do a self assessment of what you do need, what you do not need, what you need to be around. Depending on where I am, I don't really like a lot of isolation. Depending on where I am, I do like isolation. I'm one of those in between type of people, because mainly because of what I do. I am an empath and I do a lot of healing. So my re-energy is being by myself,
Mm.
if that makes sense. Like I need to regroup. I am an empath, so I do a lot of shielding, energy blocking, because people just naturally, even when I'm not working, gravitate to me to be some type of assistance, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Um, so I think it's just really being aware of what kind of person that you are and the things that you have went through, and also recognizing that the reason why you're traveling, um, or why
Mm.
you're doing what you're doing, um, because a lot of times people feel like, oh, you're running away. No, it's not, you're running away. Some people are, some people not.
Mm.
And but you have to know what you're dealing with, because no matter, like I said, no matter where you go, if you don't handle those issues, you can handle the issues wherever you're at. You can handle the issues in Bali, you can handle the issues in Turkey, but you just need to know that wherever you are, wherever you go, if you don't handle those issues or manage those issues or triggers or whatever, they're going to follow you. They're not going to just magically disappear just because you decided to go someplace else,
Mm.
you know?
What helped you to understand your triggers? What helped you to know how to manage yourself? Uh, you were talking about different locations and whether you need to be alone or around folks and so forth. How have you been able to take care of yourself in that way?
Um, I would say, I guess I've been knowing myself for a long time. And some of the things I do require me to be very outspoken or be in the front light. As
Mm.
a child, I'm naturally an introvert. People don't realize that. I'm naturally a natural invert. However, the things that I do require me to be an extrovert. And I do it quite well, not knowing. People be like, oh, you're just such a butterfly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, but I kind of want to be by myself this weekend and I don't want to go talk. I don't want to talk to you. So
Hilarious.
yeah, so it's just really recognizing yourself, but then also knowing that some of those things about yourself can also be a hindrance to yourself as well.
Mm.
So like I talked to a sister who was traveling whatever, and I had noticed that like I said, everybody kind of gravitates towards me. I get along with everybody, but I can tell when certain people like isolate themselves and then they become kind of sad. It's like, okay, well, you're sad, you're not, you got to get out, sweetie. You got to
Mm.
um get get to know and appease some folks, you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes isolation is not good for different people. And I guess me being known what I do, just paying attention to behaviors and things like that, you can tell when certain activities, certain people being around a whole bunch of people is not good for them. And for some other people, isolation is not good for them. Um, it's just really recognizing, um like keeping a log, journaling, or even asking people like, okay, you didn't look fine around that time, you didn't look
Mm.
fine during that Zoom call, what's really going on, and of that nature. So it's a process, and then it's a journey of like learning yourself through your travels or whatever you're going through during your process.
We did have a question from our community. Miss Rachel was asking how to find a black therapist, and what's the difference between a coach and a therapist? Approach
Okay.
to find clarity. So it's two part. The first one is how to find a black therapist. So let's do that part first.
You want a therapist or you want a coach?
Well, she said therapist. How to find a black
Okay.
therapist.
Um, well, there is various ones. There's groups on Facebook. And I think you can also go to Psychology Today. There are some black references. What is the proper term? Trying to think. I don't haven't
Directories.
been. Yeah, there are some directors. I do not know them right now, right now today, because my mind was not focused on that right now. Um,
So Miss
so I
Miss
do
Rachel,
not.
I have a few directories for you. If you're looking
Yeah,
for a black woman therapist, there's
yeah, I can
therapy for
have get
black
the
girls.
directory. Yeah, I can get the directory for you. I have my own directory, and it also depends on where you're located, because some therapists are not allowed to see people overseas. So you got to take that into consideration also.
Hmm.
Um, so that person can probably DM me personally or email me. I can get them that information on the actual those that are able to see people virtually no matter where they're at. And the reason why some therapists, depending on you where you're at, or depending, like there's some sites that allow you like certain apps where you can be anywhere, such as what is that app? Not the
Better
Calm
help.
app. Yeah, BetterHelp. And some apps, it doesn't matter where the client is because they're kind of like they got this, they're covered. You know what I mean? Um, but with some therapists, they're only licensed for certain locations. But there are plenty of black women therapists out there, and depending where you are, we can get you that information.
The second
Um,
part of her
I guess,
question
yeah,
was
the difference
the
between a
yeah,
therapist. Okay,
the
so I
difference
went to
between a coach and a therapist approach to find clarity.
mm, well, like I said before, um, therapists go back into your past. Coach pretty much approaches about helping you move forward, identifying your roadblocks,
Mhm.
your likes and your dislikes, and helping you move forward that way. Does that make sense?
I think so. We also have
Okay.
a comment from Miss Kathy. She says, as a new traveler, I didn't realize I would enjoy being solo. However, I do like to share my experience and felt a loneliness, and she put quotes around loneliness, because I couldn't share my experience in person with those I know, i.e., her children. This is normal, correct?
Yes, it is normal. Especially for a lot of parents. If it's your first time traveling, and depending on the ages of your children, even young or adult, just depends, and depends on where you're at and where your children are at in life. Like I said, you had a sense of everyday normalcy where they were there 8, 10 hours a day, a part of your life. So not having them there, just physically being there, not doing anything special, you are going to miss that element. But that is quite normal. But um, I should say the physical element, I'm not sure you're going to be, it, gradually you'll probably, get away from it depending on how your travels are. Is it's going to be about how long you want to be away from your children?
So she added a little context as well. She said her kids are 29 and 26, so she's an empty nester and recently divorced. Um,
Okay.
but I do think
Um,
that that's interesting, to talk about. You're out here and you're having the best time of your life, and how are you relating that, and are you able to share in that? And I think other travelers get it, but maybe
mhm.
the people that you're used to sharing some experiences with don't necessarily get that, or they're not as excited for you, like they don't know what it means for you, and
No,
everything that you've
they
been through
don't.
to break
No, they
free. Mm.
Yeah, there's a lot of I've seen there's a lot of empty nesters. Um, okay, I see it now. There's a lot of empty nesters, and the key issue is that you're only probably going to be you can only share as much as possible, and you're going to have to just have, be at that moment of acceptance and just
Mm.
figuring out a way how you're going to move on from that, because the reality is wherever you're located, your kids may not ever want to visit. It may be like, she good, she doing her life, mama doing her thing, I'm gonna do my thing, they in they stage. And that's okay. I've met plenty of empty nesters where I travel, and I think it's about just setting up I guess you could say different, I don't know what you want to call it, but whether it's, I don't know, people tired of Zoom, you're just gonna have those just gonna have to have those hard conversations. Either you guys are gonna meet up in a different country that's close to them, or you're just gonna have to come to acceptance of um like, hey, that's your family, but you have other travel family, or wherever you're located, those people are become your family. I have a travel mom here, I have a travel mom there, wherever I
Mm.
am,
Yeah.
and those become my family from home. Even when, like, what I would suggest would be, yeah, those are always gonna be your kids. They ain't going nowhere. Um, they ain't going
Hopefully.
nowhere. Okay, they ain't going nowhere. Ain't going nowhere. Especially if something. Let me tell you something happened, Mama. Where you at? They ain't going nowhere. Okay. Um, find that spot. You can always have a different I would say another way to fill that void. I'm pretty sure there's some other youngins around that want to travel mama and you want to travel daughter, travel son. I have that out wherever I am, wherever I'm located back home, wherever I travel to. We have that. That's why it's important to be around people, different ages, different cultures, um, being around a variety of people, so you can have that and fill that gap, that you feel, that piece that you feel like that's missing. So therefore, you have a Bali daughter, or you have a Bali sister, or wherever you're located. I'm just giving that as an example. You know, um,
But you're fulfilling that maternal need that you have. So even though you're not able to relate necessarily to your born, you got
mhm.
your chosen or whatever.
Yeah, and in addition to that, I'm pretty sure wherever you're located, there is an orphanage. There's some kids, local kids that need your assistance, that need that motherly parenting, that want it. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And trust me, you will fulfill your time.
Miss Kathy said they're interested in what I'm doing, but don't necessarily want to engage. My daughter does, but my son wants to boss me.
Um, well, sons are always that, that always that
No,
protective.
I'm
She
laughing
didn't
because
say
she said she
bossy,
don't want
right?
to parent nobody else. She said I did my job. I did what I needed to do, and that's over. Sorry about that, Jen. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, I get it. And you're gonna get that. Not everybody's gonna be interested.
True. We had someone on Facebook share. I learned the difference from being alone and loneliness. I also enjoy creating new relationships through solo traveling, but communities are great ways to connect to fill the voids through buddies as well as groups. For diversity, the best forever friendships are forged through travel. I think that's Miss Sapphire who said that on Facebook. Thank you for that.
Hmm.
So that is dope. Being able to, if you can, that's the thing about travel is like, you hear about these places, but once you show up in your skin and your hair with your personality, with your ancestors, you never really know how you're gonna connect with people locally. And it also depends on like who's there at the time. It's just like this perfect storm that you're trying to like catch a hold of so that you have this really dope experience. But it is amazing when you are able to experience that, when you're in a place and there are people locally that you can connect to. Um, I
And then
think,
there's the reality
many of us
that,
have missed that.
and then there's the reality that you got to understand that you're not meant to connect with everybody. You're not meant to connect with
Okay.
everybody. That
But
is,
I think
and
you have to connect with somebody somewhere at
yeah,
some point.
definitely connect with somebody, someplace, somewhere. But also, I guess have a spirit of discernment to know if this is somebody that you should be connecting with, no
Mm,
matter who it is. Um, you can definitely learn from people, but you need to know how you want to connect with different people.
hmm
Everybody's not meant to be in your personal life. Maybe that's just your party person. Maybe that's just your prayer person. Maybe that's, everybody has their little compartment.
hmm 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 Very much so. And that happens whether you're traveling or not, actually,
Hmm.
Some relationships I think become comfortable because there's someone you went to school with or someone you worked at a job with. Um,
Hmm.
but that doesn't like those are relationships of convenience, I think. And so
Yeah.
when you're out here in the wild wild west, which is like adulthood, and you're having to like make friends as an adult, then yes, it becomes this thing of, well, since I'm able to choose people and we both have to put in effort to stay in each other's lives, like what does that
Hmm.
look like, and how do I get fulfillment from that?
Um, what I would say, just from my experience, you have to number one, know yourself, know you're good, you're bad, and you're ugly, and evaluate that ugly.
Ooh, straight like that. Okay. How
You
how
got
do
to
you start to evaluate the ugly?
um like, I'm pretty sure people are aware. I mean, I'm aware of when I'm like, "Ooh, I didn't mean to say it like that." No, okay, that probably came out wrong.
That
Um,
has some teeth and claws to it, didn't it?
yeah, when you probably, or when you was kind of a little feisty saying something, and you were like, okay, or like like for example, if you know certain things that bring certain triggers, or if you don't like certain things, I'm for me, I'm not a party person. I'm a lounge. I like going to lounges and things of that nature, chilling, jazz, music, live music.
Oh,
But
you
I'm
grown, grown. Okay.
yeah,
In a caftan with a martini. Okay, Jen. We
yeah, and
get you.
every now and then, like, you like to turn up. No matter what country you go to, you want to turn up sometimes. But I don't like being around youngins no more. I went to a black college, went to a HBCU. I've done stuff after my college days. I went to Super Bowl cruises. I did it all. I'm okay. Missing the
Let's talk
turn up.
let's talk about Freaknik then, because it seemed like that's what was going on back in the day at the HBCU.
No, Freaknik was not fun. Freaknik. Now, luckily,
You
now I'm
actually
not
went to
that old.
Freaknik? Like Freaknik?
Well, you kind of when you're. So I went to Clark, Atlanta. So when you are in Atlanta, Georgia, at that given time period, if you're at any of the AUC centers, the AUC Center, Summer Morehouse, Morris Brown, whatever, even the IT school, the what is it, the relate what is it, the School of Theology, whatever, you have no choice but to be in Freaknik, okay? You don't have a choice. You are in Freaknik, okay? Luckily for me, Freaknik, my I guess freshman year was last year. Freaknik, thank God that crap was horrible. Um, it was kind of disgusting. I mean, kind of fun, but also disgusting. Depends on, I think what it is all the times is that college students, we have our own thing, we have our own stuff going on, but then locals kind of invaded and they kind of disrespect the rules. There's unhidden rules that we have that you just don't do because you're trying to respect people. And I think just like anything else, just like Black College Reunion Daytona, it was a college thing that all of a sudden you see grown ass adults attending.
This is for kids. Sir, this is a Wendy's. What do you
Yeah, exactly. This is the
it's not for you.
McDonald's. play. What are you doing here? But they just see a whole bunch of black students having fun. That's all they see. So they don't see the rules and regulations and of it, you know.
Hmm. But she's partied. She's had that kind of fun, and you're
Yeah.
looking
I
for a
mean, like
different
I said, there's nothing
experience.
wrong with a big turn up on time, but every now and then, my
Sure.
turn up, my turn down is I like about what my friend said. Um, we do day parties. We don't do like don't call me after 9, 10 o'clock trying to go somewhere.
My bra is already off for the day. Like,
No, we're good. We're about the day
you want me to
parties.
put you want me to put hard pants on after 9 p.m.?
Mm-mm.
Are we on the same
Like,
planet?
I better already be out.
Okay, we have a question from Miss Kathy. She said, "What do I need to do to open up to other cultures for dating? I've never dated outside my race. Are there some easy steps or three pointers you can provide?" You better get
Hmm.
into it, Miss Kathy. I know that's right.
Definitely, I guess you would have to say definitely be open, I guess you could say. I think you have to be open everywhere you go. But be open, have your heart, but bring your brain with you. And also I guess I would say make sure you deal with all the issues that you have or be working on them while you're healing in the process. Um, because you don't want to bring any of those things in the relationship. One of the things that I did when I was in like the most happiest spaces of my life is I also sought therapy. I went to trauma therapy. But I went to a holistic person. Like I said, I'm more in a holistic place. Um, and I was actually one of the most happiest times of my life. I had no issues at all, period. But there was one thing I didn't want there to be any issues. Sorry. I didn't want there to be any. I didn't want there to be any issues in any of my future relationships, friendships, on a job issues. I wanted to be healed from all my past family trauma, workplace trauma, and anything else. And there was nothing wrong with me at that time. It was just me being willing to, because one thing that people don't understand is that whether you choose coaching or therapy, coaching, I coaching and therapy bring up a lot of emotions, right? Healing is not a fairy tale Netflix blockbuster movie. Okay, it is not the Eat, Pray, Love movie that you see. It's a lot of crying involved. It's a lot of dealing with your shadow. It's a lot of work, um, and it's emotionally draining, and you have to be ready to deal with that. And so that's why in coaching is if I see that you're not ready to move forward, I'm gonna refer you back to a therapist because you need to deal with some things. You're not ready to move forward. Makes sense?
Hmm. I think also too, it's like in order to be open to date, I think it takes a bit of cultural awareness. So you're dealing with the person, but we're rarely able to completely extricate ourselves from our cultures. That's where we get our values. That's where we get our sense of self, like how we see ourselves and all this other type of
Mhm.
stuff. So patriarchy is a worldwide pandemic
Woo!
as
I
well.
think
Um,
okay. So with that said, not to cut you off, because I have dated a lot. I guess you could say. I don't know how to put that, where it's
oh
not
well.
where it doesn't sound hoish. I guess.
What is that? Oh, so are we hoe shaming too then? Because like, isn't that the point of dating? You're dating because you're trying to find somebody. If you ain't found nobody,
Yeah.
that's why you're
So
still dating. Like,
I guess the thing is, you have to know where you stand or what you're going to tolerate, what you're not going to tolerate. but also be open to like, hey, this is um and the world has been open, okay? So people around the world are very familiar with, American women, and the things are going on. We have social media, we have Instagram, TikTok, and a whole bunch of stuff. So it's not like anybody's blind, but a lot of times you will meet even men from different cultures. um I guess you don't want to try to stereotype people from different cultures, and then also talk to them about your differences, and your differences and the things that you guys have in common. um there could be a lot of you guys things that you have in common. And in addition to that, I guess just talking about where you guys stand as it plays on certain things. And then also just finding a common ground where you guys can meet in the middle. That's the beauty of traveling and dating. You can date anybody that you want, anybody, any culture, any race, any nationality, whatever, rocks your boat, floats your boat, whatever. But long as you guys have that common ground. It's almost like when you're dating different religions, people that have different religions and stuff like that. You gotta, long as you guys have those, you gotta be willing to have those uncomfortable conversations and know that it's not a place of trying to not be offense to anybody, but to ask questions with understanding, and but also do things, how one of my people say, speaking the truth in love. You're asking
Mm.
questions for a better understanding, and it's okay to make mistakes. Will you probably offend people? Will people probably offend you? Hell yes. Certain cultures are very aggressive in their tone. It could come off very like, "Oh, okay, but sometimes that just may be just the way they speak. um
And it's normal for them. Like it's not aggressive to them. They just
yeah,
being
'cause
themselves,
sometimes I
right?
feel like, no, I don't do. But then there's people that they really are aggressive. I don't do aggressive men. I don't do aggressiveness. I don't do all that. I don't. No, yeah, I don't do all that. But I mean, it just depends on where you are. You got to know what kind of what gels with you. Like I said, being open and being knowledgeable of certain things, and being around just making friends so that you can understand, making women friends of different cultures so that you can have a better understanding, and men friends of the different cultures so you can have those conversations. I've been fortunate enough to have different women friends from all over, as well as men, to have those open conversations and have those uncomfortable conversations, if that makes sense,
Hmm.
because
It's like,
they're they're providing that safe space for you to, whatever it is, um it could be a stereotype, but hey, they understand you're trying to they understand that you're not trying to be offensive. You're trying to understand.
hmm,
Does that make sense?
yeah. Hmm. So what else can you, what kind of, what is your approach when you talk about leaving? So we talked a little bit about transition. Caregivers is another thing. A lot of Black women who are leaving are burnt out because they've been holding up the world, holding up other people's worlds. Um, and they, while holding up other people's worlds, a lot of times they are also coming from workplace trauma. Um, so there's
Mm.
like like a full plate. What is your approach when talking about those topics with some Black women who are trying to relocate?
um Whether they're trying to relocate, whether they're just trying to have a gap year, or whether they're just trying to just go away for a couple of months, that doesn't really matter, because it all falls into the same. um Number one, it's once you have got over the shock and awe that you went through it, and the acceptance, that's when you can start to do the work. um do know that workplace trauma or whatever you went through probably caused a little bit of PTSD, and certain things where you're at may trigger you, and you have to know hey, is this a real experience or this is just my trauma speaking? And knowing when to say something and to be like, okay, this is not, this experience is just me, and it triggers something. Um, I too suffered from workplace trauma um, on a job. Oh Lord, child. And sometimes I too struggle with certain things. Um, I don't know why I struggle with things, but accepting the things that other workplaces are different,
Mm.
that you're no longer in that environment. Even when I coach people, um, you will have certain things will make you anxious. And it's because like one of those the body keeps score, right? The body's gonna always keep score because your body's like, we remember this, and what happened
Can
last
you,
time.
if somebody is hearing that book title for the first time, can you break down what exactly that means?
Okay, so when you experience trauma or something, yeah, trauma or anything that's just causes disruption, a great disruption in your life, um, your nervous system or your body um, keeps score of it. So your mind, that's how you like when certain places you get nervous or you have an anxiety attack or just certain things feel like, some people be like if you're in a crowded place and something just feels off and then your mind just your body's like we don't want to be here anymore, like something is off, you can't, you know your body has already kept score that hey, we don't like this feeling, we don't like this air, this heat, um this person is sounding just a little bit angry, we remember this feeling, it's a feeling that you have. So um the body, even if you don't remember right away, your body and your nervous system does. That's why certain people make you feel uncomfortable in different way. That's why certain energies don't make you feel right. And you trying to figure out what it is. You may not pinpoint it till later because sometimes that often happens. And then we retract, we go back, and then we're like, that's why. So that's what I mean by the body keeps score.
And then as that relates to workplace trauma, that's what you were talking about.
When it comes to workplace trauma, you can be in a better position in a better workplace, and you will still have, um, you may still have a little bit of triggers or anxiety because of your past position. You may have been a victim of racism, a victim of sexual harassment, a victim of narcissistic abuse, and those things don't go away right away. And like I said, you can be in the best job of your life right now, something completely different from your past. But a lot of times, like I said, you can be in a meeting and something can just trigger you to like, I don't know. Or where sometimes you won't ask for help or won't do certain things because it's just like your body and everything remembers what happened last time. And sometimes you just have to get out of that because you're not in that environment anymore. We got
Mm.
to let some of those things go. But it's okay because your feelings and emotions and scars are valid.
Mm.
So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. Um, is there anything you can offer for Black women who are just coming off of caregiving, or maybe they're trying to, maybe both ways. So maybe they're in a caregiver position right now, and
Hmm.
they have guilt around wanting to leave or wanting to handle less responsibility. Um, so there's that part. But then what about those who have left and are coming down from that caregiving? There's some study, I'm sure there's more, but it talks about how those who are caregivers, their health is negatively impacted. Like they are more likely to get sick as caregivers
Yeah.
because of all of the stress, other
Yeah.
factors that wear on
Okay.
multiple levels. So, can you speak to both people who are still in that situation and they're wanting to maybe transition out, and those who have
Mhm.
left and they're dealing with the aftermath?
Okay. So being that I was a caregiver myself, taking care of my grandmother, was actually my I called my mother, and she called me her daughter. I experienced that firsthand, and I'm going to try to be brief as possible because I do have to go because the hour is almost up, and I have another session to do. Um, but
Okay.
I do coach people going through that, and those who are out of it, because what happens is, as a caregiver, you are pretty much doing, or may not, everyone caregiving experience is different. Caregiving can be
Mm,
financially, mentally, and spiritually and physically draining. And if that person is actively dying, you're actually grieving in the process as well. You are pre-grieving um, in that process. And so it is, and depending if the person is still working or not, or if that's the only thing that they do, there has to be a lot of self-care involved, a lot of self-care. Some of my people may not have the financial means, or I should say the availability, because a lot of those of color, I hate to generalize or whatever people want to call it, or I'm not being politically correct. Um, um, a lot of people of minority don't have, reason why they're being caregivers is because that person that they're caregiving may not have. And don't get me wrong, the U.S. medical system is very screwed the hell up. You damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You either got to be rich, rich, or you got to be poor, poor. So those who are in the middle, you're pretty much screwed, because there is no, how should I say, leeway. You're pretty much doing everything out of pocket, almost, and you got to learn the system. So my thing, in the long story short, is those who are still in it, try to get at least 1 hour of self care to yourself where you're not doing anything. If that's all you have, make sure you get 1 hour of self care every day, no matter is, and that means doing absolutely completely nothing, or only focusing on you. I don't care what it is, whether it's reading a book, window shopping, resting, watching trash TV, whatever it is. It's just 1 hour dedicated to you if that is all that you have. Definitely try to get as many resources as you can, family, friends, coworkers. A lot of times people are just afraid to speak out because they're ashamed. And it's nothing to be ashamed about, because 9 times out of 10, your coworker, somebody else that you're working with, or your friend is going through the same damn thing. And you'd be surprised how many people you work with or around is taking care of somebody else. If they're not caregiving, they're taking care of somebody else's child.
mm.
Caregiving is a little bit more difficult because you're dealing with an adult that can talk back.
I mean, them kids be
And
talking back too, though.
yes, and those who are out of it, you're dealing with a pretty much avoidance, right?
Mm,
Because that was your life at that given moment. That was your 24-hour a day job, and probably second or third job, depending if you have
mm,
kids or not. And that's a lot to deal with. So, and a lot of times you deal with those who are in it, deal with guilt, um, because somebody is dying, but that doesn't mean that you don't have a human side to you. And those that are out of it have guilt of surviving, survivor's guilt, or guilt that probably they didn't do enough. And those that are out of it are going to have to. That's why I say it's very important for there be some type of balance, and go through a lot of things that I coach people through while they're in it, so that when they're out of it, that they can maintain. I was able to maintain because I did a lot of healing and uh, I did a lot of things while I was going through it. Therefore, my after grief process didn't take much long for me to bounce back. Don't get me wrong, there's still some days I'm gonna cry my ass off and be on this kitchen floor. But that's just all a part of your grief. Um,
Mm.
there is no timeline with the grief. There's just, like I tell people, there are just positive ways to manage your grief. And we want to make sure, and when you're talking to me or if I'm coaching you, I'm going to make sure that you're grieving in a more positive manner that is more healthy for you. Because you don't want to be in the grief or stages where you're just not getting up out of bed anymore. You're not showering, you're not doing anything. Everything is shut down. And don't get me wrong, that happens. Shit happens. But we want to get you out of that. And so therefore it's really important that you get those things while you're going through it. So therefore when it ends, you are not just feeling empty and can't get back to a regular routine. It's some not much similar. It's almost like being an empty nester. A
Mm.
lot of times people are like, oh, I can't wait to get rid of these kids. I can't wait to get rid of these kids, and the kids are gone. You still don't know what to do yourself. Like, kids are gone. You have no reason to be at home with a glass of wine watching TV. Get out and do something. No, all them times you wish they was gone. They was gone in their own little world doing their own thing, and you're still not doing nothing. So yeah, it's the same thing. It's, you gotta do it now. So therefore, when that transition happens, it's a better or easier process. But
Zakia
that's
said, Jen, I
all.
needed you years ago. God bless you and the work you're doing. We appreciate you so much. You all can connect with Jen on Instagram, Social Therapy SA. She also
Mm-hmm.
has the book, Keep Calm, Bring Your Carry On. That's also an Instagram account. You connect with her there as well. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. We really
We don't try. I
appreciate
didn't
it.
even get to do the sound bowl healing. This went by the wayside. Just got done. But yeah, you can contact me on those and by via email on both. They're both keep calm, bring it carry on at gmail.com or social therapy essay at gmail.com. And I'll be happy to provide a service for you.
All right. Well, you have a very good day, Jen. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for having me.
Take good care.
Bye.
Absolutely. Bye. Miss Candy is on Facebook and she said, when I traveled West last summer, I was 2 years away from my workplace trauma, white supremacy with a white woman. And during my travel, I was in a predominantly white town. And while walking my dog, several white women, they were friendly, allegedly, approached me from the condo community where I was staying. And as they came toward me, I began to panic, breathing fast, etc. I recognized it, but still took the time to care for myself. Panic is not a normative response for me. Girl, you took me there. I feel like I was on that walk with you. Um, yeah, that's exactly how it shows up, that trauma response, those triggers. And it's dope that you were able to recognize that as well. All right, ladies. Thank you so much for coming. Miss Kathy said this is great. Thundercat came through. This was phenomenal. Thank you, ladies. Um, Thanks for coming through. Make sure you connect with Jen out there in the internet streets and make sure you connect with us. There's a community of us. We have a podcast, Black Women Travel Podcast. We have our group, our free group, Black Women Digital Nomad Entrepreneurs. And we also have a conference, the International Black Women Travel Jubilee. You missed the Jubilee live, but you can catch the replay. Just head to blackwomentravel.com, and that's TRAVL. Oh, I'm not even set up for that. Well, I'll just do that anyway. Um, you can go to blackwomentravel.com/IBWTJ specifically for the conference. And I'll hook you up with our community. There's a community of us who attended and who are linked to keep the conversation going, to keep us in community with one another through these horrific times of being alive and trying to make sense of life. Um, It was a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. And I suppose I will see y'all out there in the internet streets. Y'all behave yourselves. And if you don't, at least record it so we can enjoy along with you. All right. You have a gorgeous Thursday or whatever day you're watching this. And we'll talk to you soon. Take very good care.